Alright guys, it's Chatterbox Reviews, coming at you guys with Zoo, Season 3, Episode 12, Review. Alright, so, pretty exciting. As you can see, behind me here is my new, sort of setup. So it's still in the works a little bit, of course. Basically, I'm really happy about it, to be honest, to set it all up. Last couple days, or spent, sorry, the last couple days, putting it all together and stuff. So, yeah, basically it's a big banner, of Breaking Bad, but yeah, it doesn't come, quite down low enough. So it is what it is, but it's a work in progress. A little bit. Give me a little bit longer, and it should be, like, you should be able to see the full banner in frame. But yeah, for now, this is just how it's gonna be, I guess. But yeah, so I'm really pumped about it. And in the future, I'm definitely gonna try to get some collectibles and, stuff like that to put in the background as well, just to enhance that a little bit, so you don't have to, focus on a white wall behind me. But, anyways, yeah, so just wanted to mention that right off the bat here, and I'm really excited for it. So, anyways, yeah, and you guys can suggest, banners, I guess, if you have any suggestions that you want, to see maybe in the background. I don't know. But yeah, go right ahead. You can do that. I'm also looking to get a Walking Dead one. So when I do the Walking Dead reviews, which I will be doing in the fall in October, and then of course later on, I am looking to get a Walking Dead one, so then I can have that one up for those reviews. And of course, Breaking Bad's off the air right now, but yeah, it's just my favorite show on TV. So. Or ever really, it's not on it right now, but yeah, so that's why I got that. But anyways, yeah, so definitely I'm on the hunt for the Walking Dead one, and we'll have to see what kind of stuff I can find and whatever. So anyways, just thought a little quick channel update, I guess, there. But yeah, anyways, let's get into this episode. I thought it was a good one. For a second last episode of a season 3, I didn't think it was that great. I thought the last 5 to 10 minutes of this episode were by far the best. I thought that, I personally felt the rest of the episode, yeah, it kind of built up to what we saw in the last 5 to 10 minutes, but I could have probably done without it, to be perfectly honest. Like, I mean, there wasn't any big significant things happening, nothing new really, and a few just things that kind of, triggered me, I guess, or made me mad about the show. So, whatever. But yeah, so overall it was not a bad episode. It wasn't, amazingly great, but I think that they're kind of saving up for this finale next week. I think that's sort of because I've seen some previews as well, about it, and like that's all they're talking about is this big finale, and all the fans are going crazy. So I think they're, sort of building up for that, and they've always had a good finale for this show as well. For each season. So I think it's going to be a great finale. I'm still not sure about a season 4. I've, went online, checked a little bit to see where, people might think they're at, and there haven't really many answers yet as to, whether it's going to be canceled or renewed. So I'll have to see, obviously they made this season with basically a brand new storyline, so I don't doubt that they could make another season, and I would definitely tune in and watch. One of my top shows, to be honest. I just, love the idea of it. Sometimes, of course, CBS dramas, they get in your head and they throw you off a little bit, just like this episode. But, that's just what you're going to get. So, anyways, yeah, so I'll go into this recap here. It's a little bit short because, like I said, not much happened until the last 5 to 10 minutes. And then, of course, get my rating and share some thoughts at the end. So, anyways, we started this one off with we're seeing Abigail in Boulder, Colorado. And this was also where Sam and Clementine were when they conceived the baby. So I'm not sure, if that's a coincidence or whatever, but I guess they were at the barrier as well, and that's sort of where the barrier is, right in Boulder, Colorado. And she's basically just outside the barrier. We can see it in the distance, and that was a cool shot. I like that. And then we see that she's tracking the team's plane. So on this little screen, and she sees it beeping or whatever. So that was kind of interesting, right? It kind of led us, to believe some stuff was about to happen, right? And so I didn't expect, well, what happened though, right? So then IDG kind of sets the timer for 5 hours until basically they're unable to control the hybrid nests anymore. They're going to run out of troops, and they're going to be just totally exhausted of the resources. And the hybrids are, I guess, just going to take over the world. Like, I don't know. I guess that's kind of what they led us to believe. So, yeah, 5 hours they have to get the team there and to, get this dead man switch and the baby and, and go from there. So, anyways, yeah. So then Abigail, from this little like mountain where she's staying in a forest or whatever, because remember she got off on the plane. Now I'm not sure when she got off on the plane. I can't remember the location where she got off, but I don't know. Like I don't think it was anywhere near Boulder, Colorado. So I'm not sure how she all of a sudden got there. Maybe, but I don't know. So anyway, she sets up this missile launcher, which is pretty big, but and she basically shoots this huge missile off into the air, and we see it kind of like looping around in the sky, so we know that it's targeted on something, and then we figure out it's targeted on the team's plane as it comes down to land at the barrier, right? And I thought, yeah, the missile launcher, like, could a human really do that and get this huge like plane just down to the ground like that? I thought probably not, but we gotta remember they're 10 years in the future in this season, so a lot of new technology has been invented, and she even had like the little screen there where it's automatically targeted on the plane. I'm sure they have that technology now, but obviously it'd be more advanced then, so we gotta take that into account as well. So basically, this missile blows up in the air, like just below the airplane, and I was kind of confused. I'm like, is she trying to blow it out of the sky, or what is she trying to do? But it ends up creating a cloud of smoke, really, right below it. And I thought she missed or whatever, but turns out that she creates an electromagnetic pulse of some sort, right under the plane. So that basically turns off all their power and communications to the IEDG and whoever, right? So they basically just go off the grid. And of course, turning off the power turns off, the automatic landing and whatever, because I don't know still how, but they're flying this plane without a pilot. So, like they need all this automatic stuff, especially the automatic landing gear. So, yeah, I thought, it was a very intense scene then that ensued with Jamie trying to get this landing gear deployed while the plane is, like, falling out of the air, right? And everyone's kind of panicking. Clem and her baby, well, just her baby, but is crying and stuff. So it's really intense. It's, getting us on our toes. We're wondering, as we know that they're probably not going to crash and die. But we know, so anything could happen at this point. And then she finally gets this gear to deploy. And the plane basically, crash lands on this huge, like, it's like a massive field, right? Because, it didn't look that big on the screen, but think about how big that plane is, right? And that plane looked like really, really small, like, on the field. So, yeah. And then we also saw the hybrid, so that kind of put it in perspective. But, yeah, so they land on this huge field, and it's right in front of where Abigail is on that mountain. And obviously they don't see her on the mountain, but yeah, just kind of interesting. And that's, we see that Abigail's smiling, so we know that, that's exactly what she wanted to happen. But also we have to take into consideration they land here in this big field, and it's on the wrong side of the barrier, right? It's, obviously they overshot the runway, right? No pun intended or whatever. So yeah, so it's kind of like an unfortunate turn of events. And I thought it, not very realistic that the plane, would just smoothly land and slide for a bit and then, be fine. I guess maybe it's possible. I'm not an airplane pilot, but it just didn't look, that something like that, wouldn't be that real. But it was definitely cool to see. I really liked that scene. One of my favorites, just seeing the plane come in and skid down on the field was great. And with Abigail watching on the mountain also, created a little bit of a interesting vibe. So that was definitely good. So yeah, they land and they're swarmed by these hybrids, Razorbacks in specifics. Or specifically, and yeah, so basically they find out all things with circuit boards are fried, and they have this CB radio, and they can power it with a car battery to communicate to the IADG. I think Sam figures that out or something. So at least they can finally contact them and try to get help. So that's what they do. There's a lot of like moments in this episode where the team kind of got together and talked about their plans. There was a lot of that this episode, and I'm not a huge fan of that because it doesn't really progress the storyline at all. Kind of just puts us in, that, their shoes and kind of just tells us the intensity of what's going on. But, I think you kind of understand that already. But anyways, so then I thought this was interesting for sure. Jackson and Abe they're talking there when they're searching the plane for any entrances for these hybrids, just in case, in the crash something blew open or whatever. And Abe says that, the whole thing about him, being a glass half full guy has really been, trending this whole season, right? About, he's the guy with all the hope and he really has confidence that, they can save the world. While some of the other team members are a little bit skeptic at this point, especially Jackson. So, Abe says that once they solve sterility and the hybrids, they can save the world, that him and Dariella can have another child maybe, and that Jackson and Tessa can start a family. So, yeah, okay, like I understand that, right? Tessa, Jackson, okay. Like they kind of made up a little bit, right? So I wouldn't, that wouldn't be too that wouldn't be too far-fetched. But then Jackson says to him, I had a family 20 years ago. And I was thinking, like, what? So in the story there, he said that he was 19 when, I think when he had the kid. I think when he had, like, his son Connor. And, yeah, so he was 19 maybe when he had his son, or maybe that was when his son died. I can't remember. But, so that means 20 years. So that would mean that he's 39 right now. And I don't know. I just don't picture Jackson as 39. I picture him like maybe early 30s. That's how I pictured him the whole show. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of weird. Obviously, they've gone 10 years right in between seasons here, so they have to advance his age a little bit, I think. But I don't know. I just don't see him as 39 now. I just don't see that. But anyways, just thought I'd bring that up. But, again, a really good scene there from Abe and Jackson, which we don't usually see that chemistry. Again, season 1, season 2, that was a really driving, part of the episode, part of the series. And now we just don't get to see it as often. So that was good. So then Clem finally reaches the IEDG on this CB radio that Sam hooks up. Logan says that Dariella and Tessa will put together a team and go and get them at this landing site that Clem sends the location to them. And basically this was kind of a crazy scene. Logan. So then Tessa and Dariella, go out on these ATVs with a bunch of other guys, and Logan basically watches them on the screen. And it's going fine. They get to where the hybrids are, and then all of a sudden he hears screaming, and he sees on the little board there the team is basically right in the middle of this pack of hybrids, and they're violently attacked by these razorbacks. I think one of them screams out it's razorbacks or something. So they basically then all go off the grid, right, on this screen that Logan's watching. All the signals are lost, and Logan gets no reply from any of them. So, he's yelling, and no one's answering. So, yeah, I thought that was good. It obviously has some suspense. Like I said earlier, I knew that Dariella and Tessa were probably not going to die. Maybe Tessa, but Dariella, I mean, she's a mainstay in the show. She's not going to die in that situation, especially when we don't even see her death. So it was kind of obvious to see that, and of course, they do live. But anyways, I thought that was still an intense scene to kind of see. And then Agent Garrison reveals the IADG contingency plan, he calls it, to Logan. And this plan includes the G5 nations sending, basically missile strikes to these cities where the hybrid nests and beacons are. So like, Tokyo and what were the other ones? Seoul and South Korea, stuff like that, all these big cities. And they basically are going to cause a nuclear destruction to solve this hybrid problem, to eliminate the hybrids. But I mean, I think Clem says at one point that's going to kill hundreds of thousands. I'm going to, one up here. I think it's going to kill millions, right? I mean, that's crazy, right? And all those big cities, I think it would kill millions, not just hundreds of thousands. So, yeah. So obviously, that's a tough plan to come up with, right? And Agent Garrison, we see that he's not a bad guy. He says, I don't want to give that order, right? But if he has to, and that's the only way, then I kind of see his logic there. But obviously, like I'm with Logan and the rest of them, I wouldn't want to see that. Of course, that's just a lot of innocent people that are gonna die. But he has a good point as well. They're probably gonna die from the hybrid outbreak anyways. So it's neither, it's either or, right? So yeah, it's kind of a messed up plan, but I guess it's the only thing they have left if the team doesn't get there by the time this 5-hour timer is up. So then we go back to this crash site where basically the team is, and the big hybrid attack was, and Dariella and Tessa are still alive after this team is attacked, and they're the only two still alive. So I don't know. I thought this was, like it's like of course they are, right? Like it's just way too unrealistic, that those two, conveniently being the only main characters, are the ones alive. Like I don't know. I just thought it was a little bit too much for me. Maybe, I guess it may make sense. I think they were like two of the only women on this team here, so maybe the men kind of defended them or something. I don't know. I guess that's kind of a weird way to look at it, but that's sort of what maybe I thought. Maybe that's an explanation. But and both women are extremely strong too, right? They can hold their own. I'm not saying that the men needed to defend them, but I'm just saying maybe they kind of stayed back or something. I don't know. But somehow they're both alive, and the rest of the team is all dead. So they're able to communicate with Logan again, and he tells them where the plane is and where they can go to get to the plane now at this point. So Dariella and Tessa then get to the plane finally on these ATVs, and they ride up. And they basically, both of them come in, and I think Tessa says, this is where all the hot guys are hanging out, or something like that, to Jackson. And then I think Abraham says, you're a sight for sore eyes, or something, to Darielle. So that was a good moment to see Darielle and Abe back together, of course. I didn't suspect we'd see them again together, but, it happened. And then, also Tessa embraces Jackson as well. So yeah, definitely a good moment there between the two women and the two men there. Yeah, it was just great to see them, both pairs really getting together again. Obviously, Tess hasn't seen Jackson since I think episode 6 or 7, and Dariella probably since I think it was episode 9 or 10. I could be wrong. I think 10. So yeah, I thought that was good to see. And yeah, so basically, that's not really long. It's short lived because then they have to make their way to the barrier now. Back to the IDG. So yeah, but first, then we see Sam. He actually is on the CB radio, and he radios Abigail about his plan he's going to make this hybrid bait, which we heard about sort of in the whole episode there, and he's going to bring Jackson on the ATV with him, to where Abigail's at, and he tells her the location that they're going to go, and yeah. So, and Jackson, of course, volunteers, but I think it kind of, I think Sam kind of knew that was going to happen, or he was going to make it happen one way or another if Jackson didn't volunteer. So, I will give him credit, a good plan, but I knew we couldn't trust him. I knew, right when Clown let him out of that cell, it was the wrong decision, but looking forward, it looks like we may be able to trust him. So, yeah, that was kind of an expected scene, I will say, but it's just a kind of a cool twist, on things. So then we have the scene with Mitch and Jamie, which I really thought was relevant after last week's emotional scene between the both of them about like the darkness or whatever. So I thought it was really necessary to have this scene in. I think they actually have a conversation, I think 3 times in this episode, 3 different scenes just to themselves. So definitely building up on that relationship again. But yeah, basically Mitch tells Jamie that she doesn't have the monopoly on darkness anymore, right? And because he kind of realizes that he would have killed Abigail himself, even if he wasn't Duncan, he would have killed her after what, she has done to him the past 10 years. And yeah, just like all the stuff she made him do, and he didn't even know he was doing it. And putting the biodrive in his head to begin with. So, he says, yeah, I would have killed her myself. So I don't blame you for what you did. I think it was right to kill Abigail, right? So yeah, it was a great scene to see. Kind of good to see Mitch forgive Jamie because, at this point in the world, you can't really hold grudges on people, especially, people that close to you. So I think that was a good scene from Mitch to kind of like show that emotion again. And yeah, I really like those two characters. I think that's like the best built up relationship right now on the show. So I thought that was a good scene. So then basically this is sort of the bulk of the last 10 minutes of the episode. And like I said before, I think these 10 minutes, honestly, the last 5 minutes of this episode, I thought were some of the best 5 minutes of this whole season. I'm honestly like I really enjoyed it. If they had an episode like the last 5 minutes of this one, or maybe even 10, in the last 10 minutes, I mean, it would be by far the best episode of the series, really, right? But of course, they have limitations and all that. But I thought it was a really great way this played out. So Jackson and Sam basically ride off in the ATV with the bait. It's in a jug or something. So Sam just has to poke a hole in it, and then presumably these hybrids will come and chase them. So they go out, and then the rest of the team, when it's clear, starts walking to the IAGG barrier there. So then, and on their way walking there, Abe kind of collapses, and Mitch, helps him out a little bit. I didn't think that was really that relevant for our sort of recap here, but yeah, that is something that happens. So Abe is slowly a little bit deteriorating, in this episode. He's kind of having trouble breathing, more and more. So we'll have to see where that goes with that. But I like that they're showing consequences, at least, to the guy getting stabbed twice in the chest. So, so then basically we switch back to Sam and Jackson, and Sam throws this jug of bait over, a cliff or a mountain here, down, and, to get the hybrids to go down there. And then Jackson, says, "Come and the baby are going to be fine," or whatever like that. And then Sam says, "I'm sorry." And, of course, Jackson's confused. And then Abigail shows up. She just, she never goes away. Honestly, I don't know. To be honest, I'm kind of getting tired of her character, but at the same time, I'm not. She just keeps doing so many things, that you just, cross the line, right? Especially in this one. So, yeah, I thought, yeah, I'm getting tired of her, but the way they're building up this character is, can we please see her die already, right? There's no chance of forgiveness at this point. So, then all of a sudden, Abigail, points a gun at Jackson now at this point, and then all of a sudden Jackson pulls out a knife, and he actually really quick on his feet here, which, it is typical Jackson, right? But we haven't seen him do that in a while. So he starts basically to fight off Sam while Abigail watches. She actually pulls her gun down and watches the whole thing. I thought that was kind of funny. She was smiling too. So yeah, basically Jackson and Sam have this big fight. And I thought it was choreographed well. I thought it was a good fight. I mean, we didn't really see up close much. We just kind of see two guys going at each other and grunting, really, right? But I thought it was pretty good. And so basically Jackson ends up getting the best of Sam. He is a bigger guy, not a surprise. And basically gets him to the ground, and he's twisting his arm back. I was like, man, wow. Jackson's really going in. So then Sam, kind of gets in the way of Abigail here, and Jackson's ready to shoot her. And, so he gets the gun, he's ready to shoot her, but Sam says, you have to go through me. So Jackson just shoots him in the leg right away. And basically, when he's trying to recover a little bit from this shot to the leg, he pushes him, as hard as he can, and he sends him flying down the side of the cliff. And Sam basically ends up right next to this bait jug that's there. And then, we kind of zoom in on him, and we see these hybrids coming for him. So, yeah, that was crazy, right? To see that. And obviously at that point you're like, okay, that's a good death for Sam. He kind of deserves that. Although I would rather have Abigail have that death, but her hybrids wouldn't kill her. So anyways, then Abigail starts talking to Jackson, and yeah, this is funny. She just starts talking to him, says some weird stuff, and he just shoots her in the leg right away. And I was like, finally, right? Just shoot her already. Although she'll probably come back to life, right? So, who knows? But anyways, I thought it was just great. Just shoot her already, right? Why do you have to listen to all this? So, Abigail tells him then that she's on her knees at this point, right? She can't walk. So Abigail tells him that she's already won. There's nothing left to fight for. And then this was a really positive and negative situation. The music starts here. And I thought it's just really weird timing for music. Abigail's line, she voiced the line, and then all of a sudden this music kind of comes, and it didn't really fade in either. It kind of just came. So I'm not sure if that's an editing error, or maybe they did imply that. I don't know. It's just a weird way to bring in the music, but I thought the music was so great in the rest of these 5 minutes, and kind of summarizing what was going on. I thought it was great background to have, right? So I thought it was good, but it was just really introduced weirdly. But they don't usually do a lot of music like that in the show, so maybe that's why. So then Abigail ends up telling him the true victory is right here, because she, and Jackson doesn't really understand why, but she reveals that Sam is really Jackson's son Connor that he thought had died 20 years ago. And she, pulls this cloth out from her jacket, from Connor's childhood, presumably, and shows it to Jackson. And, Jackson kind of figures it out. That's pretty good proof, right? That cloth. And, these plot twists are good, but they're so weird. How is this Jackson's son? How would you not recognize him? Yeah, maybe he was a little kid. How did Abigail rescue him from this gas station accident? Did Jackson's wife die? So, I don't know. There's a lot of questions here, and it's a really kind of weird plot twist, but it works. I thought it was good. It kind of creates a new storyline, so it's whatever. And I'm not totally, it's not unusual for this show, right? So basically, once Jackson finds it out, all of a sudden he just runs down this cliff and kind of dives down to find Sam and, find his son, right? I guess Connor now. So anyways, that was kind of an interesting twist. And then he kind of just leaves Abigail there. In my opinion, I think he should have shot her. Honestly, he should have shot her in the head, up there, and then went after his son. But whatever, she's still alive. That'll probably be a big event in the finale, her death or whatever. Then the team arrives at the IDG barrier. So that was great to see. And the soldiers are all staring at them when they're walking in. So that was kind of interesting just to see, how big of, heroes they are, to all the people, and specifically the IDG at this point. So then Abe and Clem get helped onto gurneys and kind of, wheeled into the medical, center there, because, obviously they want to check Clem and the baby, and Abe's having this breathing problem. So then we we kind of, put these characters together finally, and Mitch kind of meets Garrison along with Jamie, and Mitch ends up handing over the Dead Man switch to Garrison, with Logan there, and that's kind of the end of that storyline there with the team. So then we get switched back to Jackson, and he gets down to Sam, or to Connor at this point, and he kind of picks him up a little bit. And this was honestly the best scene of the episode, where he just went crazy and just took out every single Razorback. I mean, he fires at every single one, and he takes out each one with a shot. It was a really satisfying scene to watch, all these hybrids just getting killed, right, by Jackson, right? He'd be the one to do it. So there's great action, and at one point, I think one of the hybrids, gets him down, and he, turns around, shoots the thing. So, yeah, I thought that was great. A great scene from Jackson, just to see his anger coming out in the form of that, and it was great action, so that was really great. And yeah, he kills every single one that came at him with the machine gun that he had, and there was probably a good 20-25 hybrids that came at him, so yeah, it was really impressive. And then, once he takes out all these hybrids, then Jackson gets Sam up, and basically walks away with them, sprawled over his back there, because Sam's, was unconscious there at the bottom of the hill after being shoved down, and he's carrying him on his back, and just walking around in the forest, and that's the end of the episode. So yeah, I thought overall, great ending to the episode, right? I thought that was the best scene of the whole episode there, when Jackson's just wildly firing at these hybrids and taking them all out. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. It was a great ending to the episode, so that really upped the rating in terms of that. So anyways, let me get to my rating now. So for this one, I gave it a 4.0 out of 5, so an even 4. So this is a little low, but I was honestly expecting a lot better for a second last episode of a season. But like I said before, I think the finale is getting a lot of hype right now, and I think it's going to be good, so it may make up for this episode. But like I said before, I think the last 5, maybe 10 minutes of the episode were by far the best, right? I just that's just my opinion. I thought they were really good quality TV, really, the last 5-10 minutes. So thought that was great. And honestly, I found this as a bridge episode. Like, yeah, we find out, Sam is Connor. We find out some big storylines here. But I thought it was, a good bridge from last episode to the next one to see, how this is all going to wrap up, how the story is all going to come to a conclusion. So, yeah, I thought it was a good bridge episode in terms of that. I don't think maybe it's implied to be, but that's just kind of how I saw it. Yeah, I thought, obviously the acting was great as always. And yeah, there's, obviously a few unrealistic things, like Tessa and Dariel, the only ones surviving, the plane kind of coming down and being kind of unscathed, right? I mean, just stuff like that, right? But, anyways, that's just kind of expected. But, of course, that kind of has to go into the rating. And yeah, like I saad, I mean, if it wasn't the second last episode of a season, then yeah, I would probably give it a high rating. But, you expect, pretty big episode for the second last, leading up to the finale, and it was just a little bit underwhelming this week. So that's just kind of my take. So favorite character for this one, undoubtedly Jackson Oz, played by James Woke. He does a great job every episode. I mean, he's basically, the highlight of the show. He's the main character, really. Him and Mitch, I'd say. So, and Billy Burke does a great job, too. I talked about him way too much, though. But anyways, yeah, Jackson. The last scene was great where he, just rescues his now son, right? And he doesn't for sure know that it is his son yet. And he, still goes down and saves him right away. Takes out all those hybrids. That was a great scene. The way he, he's so heroic. He volunteers to go for this bait thing. He talks to Abe, really, some emotional scenes. So it's a dynamic episode from Jackson. We saw some heroism, some emotion, some, just great, fighting back. And the way he won the fight against Sam, he just shot Abigail right away. So he's finally coming to his senses here about Abigail. And I don't think we have to worry about him trying to save her anymore. I think he's kind of past that point where he knows that she has to be taken care of. So that's really good good to see moving forward. So we'll have to see what the finale is like next week. I'm really hoping that it's a really good episode and I'm going to be kind of shutting up here, right, after this one. I'm really hoping that. And I think that it can be the way all these things are lining up. And I think if they end up, killing Abigail, I think that's going to be a great scene to watch. I'm just excited for that, right? And I think all Zoo fans are that have been tuning in this whole season. So, anyways, yeah, one episode left next week. And I will, of course, be here with the review. It may be a little late like this one. I apologize for that, by the way. But yeah, so anyways, yeah, the Deuce is coming tomorrow. I just switched up the schedule a little bit to do this. So anyways, that's about it. So we'll see you next week then for Zoo Season 3, Episode 13, the finale. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys, and I really appreciate the support on my recent videos. Just amazing. So anyways, yeah, thanks for watching once again, and I'll see you next week for Zoo.